Good evening, Ashley. As I was reading over your discussion board post, I would agree that to address Jay's problems, you will have to be culturally intentional because the African American community is one of the ethnicities that has a very unique history. So, with a lot of variation, so it would be very important and helpful to understand the culture. Furthermore, there are major differences between an African American church and in an evangelical Presbyterian church because I myself grew up going to an African American church where I would see a lot of shouting and loud praising of the Lord, which nothing is wrong with. And then over the past few years, I have been going to a Caucasian Presbyterian church up the street from my house, and it's like way more toned down, and they get out of church way earlier than at my the church I grew up attending, which again is an African American church. Also, I know you had written about explaining to Jay that feeling more connected to his support group is normal. It is very normal, but there's a reason why we may feel connected or at home to one group of people than the other. And a lot of times it's because they can relate to what we're going through or they show us the comfort that we need. So I just want to point out that it's just not, it is naturally normal, but there's a reason for the normality of him feeling more connected to his substance abuse than his church. And like I said, because they probably showed him the love he needed, the attention he needed. And furthermore, they can relate to him. You know, it's always best when somebody can relate to you because oftentimes when we can't relate to what somebody's going through or dealing with, it's hard for us to be that shoulder for them to lean on or offer advice because most of our advice comes from experiences. So if we haven't had to go through it, we don't know how to be there for somebody. So it is normal in the aspect for him to feel more connected to them, but there's also a reason behind it. It's not, in my opinion, just because. And lastly, I'm not going to say I would incorporate my faith, but I will speak to him and give him some suggestions from my faith's point of view. Such as, I wrote in my post, sometimes we pray to God and we ask him to take stuff away, or sometimes he won't take it away because if he does, then what will be his purpose in our life? Or some people lean too much on man instead of leaning on God. And the overall purpose is to lean on God and to know that God, will be there to help us and not always look for man to be there to help us. And I think that was I agree with you. I would meet with church leadership as well. Maybe there could be some other people they can he can suggest that may help him. But also my thought too was maybe him even going to another church. I mean, I understand he may be more comfortable, or anybody may be more comfortable at an African American church, but you never know how you may like something until you try it. Because I was never against going to a Caucasian church, but it never crossed my mind either. But when I went, I loved it, and I still love it. They're very friendly to me. I feel very welcome. I mean, there have been times where, I'm looking around like, oh, I'm the only black person or African American person here, but I had to remember my general purpose for being there, which is to worship. So again, I'm glad I was able to review your post and comment on it.